Hi everybody! I'm going to do, because apparently everybody else has been doing it too, everybody's been discussing the Sony Disney Spider-Man problem. Alright, well, I don't know if they've resolved it or fixed it or not. I've heard that some things, that Sony's being bad, or some things that Disney is being bad, or whatever. Well, anyway, I don't know who's to blame. Technically, Sony owns it, Spider-Man, so Disney doesn't want to pay him more money or something. That's not the point. The point is, I have some solutions. Now, people might not like my solutions. You might not agree with them, but here's my take on it. First of all, the problem, who's at fault, is Marvel. Marvel Corporation. They're at fault because they started this whole leasing their characters to studios to do movies. Instead of doing the movies themselves, they leased characters out to do movies to studios, which got a whole crazy bunch of copyright, blah, this, that issues. So Marvel is the #1 person to blame for the Spider-Man fiasco that's going on right now. It's just like Disney. Okay, now the other people to blame are the United States government and all the crazy, ridiculous copyright laws. They're just ridiculous. Okay, they need to simplify them. And there's one way. There's one simple way they could simplify everything. First of all, they need to simplify this. This is how I would simplify all intellectual property, all copyright laws. I would simplify as this: anybody and everybody can use your works. All copyright and intellectual property would be put in the public domain, with the exception that the original owner has to be paid 10% of the proceeds you make off of his or her original work. Basically, no one would have to get rights to do something. If I created a fictional character, you could then use my fictional character in your comic book or your book or whatever. But by using my fictional character, you have to now give me 10% of your royalties for using my fictional character. This would make people would make people more than likely want to use and create and make their own characters, so they wouldn't have to pay the 10%. Then again, someone might want to make my character different or better, or another character different or better, or use it, and they would be like, well, I'm going to make a couple $1 million off this character. It's no big deal giving 10%. Now, I don't know, 10% might be too much, because if you use 10 different characters, you gotta give 10 different people 10%. So you wouldn't make anything. So 10% might be too much. I'm not sure. 10% probably is too much. Maybe we should make it 1%, because 1% is so small that most people would be like, I'll pay the original intellectual property owner 1%. It's not like you're going to use 100 people's characters or ideas or whatever in your book, movie, novel, film, play, fan film, whatever. You're probably not going to do that. And another thing I would throw in is that this 1% law rule doesn't apply once a person is dead. I would say that everybody who dies, when they die, all their intellectual property would become immediately public domain. Now, this is an interesting concept to create, because if you make it that way, then you don't pass on the copyrights to the kids, which means they don't now get the royalties of the 1% or 10%, whatever we decide to work on. Instead, it now becomes public domain. Now, the children who were supposed to get the inheritance, whatever, of the intellectual property, it either needs to automatically become public domain, especially if the person has no heirs to give it to, or it needs to be given to their heirs. But after a few generations, it needs to stop being. It needs to get into public domain. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be where our current copyright laws, I think, have it where you get to own it for like 50 years or something, or 100 years. The first, and that's a long time, which means it's going to go to. But then, once it gets to the certain time period, or maybe it's 20 years. It depends on. It actually depends on what it is. It's really, I believe, on how many years, because in some cases I think it can be just 10 years. But it actually depends on what it is, on how long it lasts before it's technically considered public domain. But if someone within the ancestry lineage then picks up the copyright, that copyright's extended, or the corporation that made it originally, or whatever. Anyway, let's just say, for example, it's 20 years. Every 20 years you gotta renew your copyright. Well, a company can just keep renewing it. There's no time limit on how many times it can be renewed. We need a limit of how many times something can be renewed before it becomes public domain. Everything and every idea needs to eventually be put into public domain. We don't need a system where this company can buy, where this company can then renew the copyright and then sell the copyright, and then a new company can now renew the copyright, sell it, lease it, trade it, etc. We need stuff to stop being copyrighted owned. We need more public domain. More public domain. Public domain is more freedom. More freedom, more public domain. That's the problem. The whole problem is we got too much stuff that's not in the public domain. Put it in public domain! Now, okay, that was a little rant on that stuff. Now, so solutions are either A, give them more money, B, have these two companies that are fighting over this action figure, like 2-year-olds at playtime at a school, elementary school or whatever, kindergarten or whatever. That's basically what's happening. When that happens, the teacher either tells them share and get along, or I'll take the dang toy away from you. Right? Right. Okay. Well, the government needs to be the teacher and take the toy away from it and put it in public domain if they don't freaking play and learn to share. Sharing is caring. Also, I don't see what the big deal is if there's like 20 different Spider-Man movies by 20 different people out there, or studios or whatever. Honestly, the whole entire idea that one studio or one company or whatever is got exclusive domain over everything that's in their universe or whatever, and nobody else can do anything with it, is other malarkey, other nonsense, and retarded. There's this ideas, it's infringing on the people, the fans, and the whatnot's imagination and intelligence and ideas and whatnot, and that's why we need more stuff in public domain, so that everybody can do whatever they want to with it without the risk of getting lawsuits and adding more laws and blah blah blah. So government's job is to be like the school teacher when stuff like this happens. Just stop fighting or I'll take the stuff away. Now, the more money aspect is just split it with them. Seriously. Disney, just split it. Just be like, hey, we'll give you, since you own Spider-Man, or whatever, since you own this and we need it, we'll just give you 50%. We'll just give you 50%. We'll just give you 50%. 50%'s fine. Split it. Split it. Split it and share. Both of y'all can have movies at the same time. I'll watch both. The fans will watch both. The people who like Spider-Man will watch both. Come on. Share. Stop being greedy and start being sharing. Or put it in public domain and let everybody do whatever they want to with it. Stop being greedy. Number one, stop being greedy. Stop being greedy. Simple. Simple solution. Quit being greedy. Corporations. Quit being greedy. It's not like you don't already own Marvel, Star Wars, a whole bunch of other stuff, Disney. Quit being so deadgum blasted greedy. Greed. Greediness. Oh my gosh. Quit being greedy. And then the one that they might be able to legally do, I'm not sure, is Spider-Man at several times in the comics kept getting wanted by the law. Now, when he got wanted by the law, he changed identities. There's even a comic book event called Identity Crisis. Until Spider-Man could clear his name, which is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, skip the next couple of minutes of the video because I'm going to spoil the end. That's all I'm going to spoil, is the end. At the end of it, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is wanted by the law. S.H.I.E.L.D. can't help him out because they're secret for some reason. It would blow their cover, I guess, is why they can't help him out. Anyway, Spider-Man's identity has been blown. His cover's been blown. All this has happened. And they actually think he's a bad guy now because he killed Mysterio. Which Mysterio made it look like he was the good guy. And S.H.I.E.L.D. can't really tell everybody the truth because it would blow their cover or something. I don't know. I don't really know. It probably would show some of their incompetence that S.H.I.E.L.D. had. That might partially be the case. But that's I digress. Anyway, in the comics when this happened, Spider-Man switched identities. He put different costumes on. He even put a bag over his head and wore a Fantastic Four uniform. Come on! That would be like the simplest, easiest cosplay to do ever. Wear a blue shirt with the number 4 on it and blue jeans and put a bag over your head with some eyeball holes. Or if you don't like wearing the bag, you could staple the bag to your shirt and be like, I'm Bagman. And then you could be like, Bagman, 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 Bagman. Anyway, that was just a little funny rant. Funny rant! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, there's like 5, 6 plus characters that Disney should be legally able to own and change Spider-Man into. I don't know, and I don't believe Sony has the rights to those characters that Spider-Man became. Because I don't think Spider-Man, I don't know if they have the rights to everything in the Spider-Verse or Spider-Universe, or when it comes to other characters, because Spider-Man crossed over with a lot of other characters in the comics. And I'm pretty sure that what Sony has the rights to is probably the early Spider-Man, which would be origin stories, essential villains. They have the right to use the essential villains. They probably have the right to use supporting characters like Mary Jane, Aunt May, Ben, Uncle Ben. They have that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what Sony has. I don't think Sony has the whole entire rights to Spider-Man, like as in every single Spider-Man when it comes to merchandise and comics and everything. I think they only have the filming rights to maybe some of his early exploits. So they probably have the filming rights to like original Spider-Man. Like they probably don't have any of the Unlimited or the newer Spider-Man stuff or whatever. They might, but I honestly don't believe they have like full 100% control over Spider-Man filming when it comes to comic book continuity. They probably have a limited area, but the problem with that limited area is they also own the name Spider-Man. And Disney cannot use the name Spider-Man. So Disney can use these other characters, which Sony doesn't own, which were still Spider-Man, and they can change Spider-Man's name and identity. They can basically make a movie. They can make the third Spider-Man movie, but they can't call it Spider-Man. They could call it Identity Crisis, which is actually the title of a comic that I mentioned, where Spider-Man, it's a comic series, where Spider-Man used, I think he had 4 different costumes in that. He changed his character 4 different times. Now this isn't the only time Spider-Man's done this. He has done multiple times where he has changed. So basically the solution is either A, share, B, put it in public domain, or C, change Spider-Man's identity. Which the third one is Disney's best option. They can't call it Spider-Man though. So that's my little rant and rave over the Sony-Disney war. War! This means war! Both sides are raging war! Anyway, remember, God is so good, He's so good to me. God is so good, He's so good to you. God's good all the time, God's good. Jesus is God, Jesus loves you. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell notifications, hey, if you don't want to miss a single vid. D-O, hey, if you don't want to miss a video. So, that's all I got to say and think about that Sony-Disney war that's going on. What side, comment down below what side you believe's right or wrong and what you think about these ideas. Have a great day. It's a great day to be alive, and the sun's still shining in my eyes. And anyway, that's it. Laters. Hey, man, look how close I can get to the camera. You can see my eye.